How much wood would woodcarvers carve if woodcarvers would carve wood for a 3-day weekend seminar?
In wood carving, everybody shares.
The Ashland Whittlefest kept 30 or so carvers busy learning from 3 of the nation's most recognized carvers.
So now I've got just a little sliver in there as a guideline.
I like to take what I do and take portions of what they do and improve what I do.
While also making friends, making memories, and making that art.
You know, I think everybody has a sort of inherent need to create something.
Steve Cotton is taking a swing at a baseball player.
You want to kind of shave the wood off. You don't want to force it and kind of have it crush away.
Ray Copenhaver has a wizard in mind.
I'm very mediocre. Some people see what I do and think I'm expert, but I've got a lot to learn still.
My goal is a nice thin sliver to create the shadow.
Because time is of the essence and the pace is generally relaxed, the carvers don't start from scratch. Instead, they take what's known as a rough out, or a piece of wood that's already been cut into a basic shape, and then, as an old joke in the carving world suggests, they cut off everything else that doesn't look like what they want to end up with.
What drew me originally was that there's always, if you make a mistake, there's always a way to adapt that and change it around.
Yeah, you did good over there.
This is a caricature carving seminar, and so the final product often has exaggerated features like a large nose or large feet to create a comic or folk art effect.
I like caricatures. I really think, in a sense, it's the most creative of the various forms of wood carving.
When I try realistic carving, it always ends up with a snarl or a tooth coming out or big ears, that kind of thing. And caricature carving is really just exaggerated realism.
Carvers are mostly an older group, and while every carver would naturally have their own individual reasons for enjoying the hobby, for many, the level of detail and the amount of concentration required are important.
I do get very, very into it, involved in it, to the point that there's really nothing but the knife, me, and the piece of wood.
I'm trying to get the best side here done.
Oh! And then there's the camaraderie. Friends are needed at every age.
I'm social. I can carve while people are talking to me. I love meeting new people, learning something new, and you develop lifelong friends.
The more times you poke around that little area, the less integrity that wood's going to have.
The experts include Floyd, Rhadigan, who has carved nearly 50 years and was once recognized as Woodcarver of the Year.
I like to share what I do, and just the people. You can't meet better people than in wood carving.
Setting the dental mound back inside the cheeks.
That's what it is, dental mound.
Another instructor, Roger Stegall, has been teaching carving since the late 1980s.
I'm going to take this area out. Come and do what I'm doing right now motivates me as an instructor to do more, try to find shortcuts and to my carving abilities to help everybody. He's looking good.
Safety is not something these carvers cut corners with.
When you make your cuts, for the most part, keep the wood, a good hunk of wood, between the knife and your fingers. Keep the things that bleed away from the sharp things, and you're going to be pretty well off.
The tools of the trade are incredibly sharp.
If you've got something really sharp, it'll take wood off effortlessly.
I never really knew what sharp was until I started wood carving, and so really understood what they mean when they say sharp tools.
That's why we all wear protective gloves. These are cut-resistant gloves. You can take a knife and go like that, and you're not going to cut your. And this is, I could shave with this.
Ironically, sharp tools are far safer than dull ones.
If you have something dull, you really have to put the pressure on it, and if it jumps off the wood or jumps through the wood and your hand's in the way, you're going to get cut.
Like most hobbies, there are levels of involvement. Carvers can get started at a low cost, or they can get heavily involved. But more and better tools require deeper pockets.
You can start out with a $15 Swiss Army pocket knife, or you can get into, specialty tools like these that are, $30, $40, $50 a piece. But you always think you got to have the best stuff, and you'll have something new come out, and you think, oh, well, I got to have that.
I like knives. I guess I got more knives here than I need. I probably got about 15 knives here in my bag.
But the most basic material needed is the wood. And basswood is the wood of choice for this class. It's known as one of the softer hardwoods and has other traits which lend it to carving.
In addition, northern basswood's what you want because the growing season in Minnesota or Wisconsin or the Dakotas is short, and so the growth rings are smaller, they're closer together, and that lets it hold detail well. And so simultaneously holding detail but also being a fairly soft wood makes it a really nice wood to carve.
Wood carving clearly offers a connection to the past and a simpler time. But these carvers believe it has a future too, if the chips fall right. I'm Dan Hollis.